Picture this, a massive trade show in downtown Atlanta. The air smells like a mix of fresh paint, roasted coffee, and new product packaging. Thousands of buyers, from small boutique owners to corporate giants, stroll the endless aisles, scanning for the next big thing. And there, standing behind a table barely big enough to hold their display, are two girls. One is just 11 years old, the other 12. They're not dressed like executives. No power suits. No years of corporate jargon under their belt. Just bright smile, stacks of colorful bath bombs wrapped like tiny presents, and the unshakable confidence of kids who know they've created something special. A man in a navy blazer stops. He picks up one of their bath bombs, reads the label, Der Bomb Bath Fizzers. He turns it over in his hand and looks up at the girls. "How old are you?" he asks, almost laughing. 11, says Isabel. 12, says Caroline. And what they don't know in that moment is that in just a few short months, their homemade creation, dreamed up in their kitchen, wrapped in plastic by their own hands, will be sitting on the shelves of over 1,900 Target stores across America. And within a few years, those same bath bombs will turn these sisters into multimillionaires, pulling in over $20 million a year. This is their story. The year is 2012. Isabel is 11, Caroline is 10. And like many kids, they love a good bath bomb. But there's one problem. Bath bombs at the time are, well, boring. You drop them into the tub, they fizz, maybe they turn the water a different color, and then nothing. The fizz dies down. The magic is gone. The girls remember looking at each other and thinking, why call it a bath bomb if it doesn't explode with surprises? Where's the fun? Where's the bang? Most people would shrug, complain once, and move on. But not these two. That thought, there has to be more, stuck in their heads. It became a tiny spark. One afternoon, they decided to try making their own bath bombs in the family kitchen. Not just any bath bombs, ones with personality, ones with a surprise inside. The kind of thing that would make bath time exciting again. Their first experiments were far from perfect. The kitchen counter was soon covered in bowls of baking soda, citric acid, and essential oils. They tested fragrances like lavender, coconut, and bubblegum, but also made mistakes. Too much citric acid would cause the bomb to fizz too quickly. Too much oil, and it wouldn't fizz at all. Some batches crumbled apart before they even got into the tub. Others were too small. But with each mistake, they learned. The breakthrough, hiding a small surprise inside each bomb, a tiny toy, a piece of jewelry, or a fun message. Now, the bath bomb wasn't just about the fizz. It was about anticipation. They gave them to friends, family, and neighbors. The reactions were always the same. This is genius. Kids wanted more. Parents wanted more. And most importantly, people were willing to pay for them. They called their new company Da Bomb Bath Fizzers. The name fits. It was bold, fun, and memorable. The sisters didn't start with a fancy store or a big advertising budget. They started where most grassroots entrepreneurs begin, local markets and fairs. Every weekend, they would set up a folding table, lay out their colorful bath bombs in neat rows, and talk to anyone who walked by. They learned how to pitch their product in just a few sentences. They learned which scents sold the fastest. They learned the power of good packaging. And they learned hustle. Sometimes they sold out. Sometimes they went home with boxes still full. But every market was a lesson. One day, at one of these local fairs, a man approached their stall. He wasn't just a customer, he was a wholesaler. He looked over their display, asked them about their process, and then said something that changed everything. You should be wholesaling these to retail stores. Up to that point, the girls were thinking small. They sold directly to customers one by one, but wholesale. That meant getting their bath bombs onto shelves in stores nationwide. They were too young to drive, but they weren't too young to dream big. So they convinced their dad to rent a U-Haul and drive them to the Atlanta International Gift and Home Furnishings Market, one of the biggest trade shows in the country. When they walked into the trade show, they had just 40 retail clients. By the time they left, they had doubled that to 80. And one of those new clients wasn't just any store, it was Target. Target agreed to test their products in a small number of stores. The bath bombs sold out fast. And that's when Target made the call. They wanted Darbomb bath fizzers in every one of their 1,938 U.S. stores. It was the kind of order that could make or break a small business. But the sisters weren't intimidated. They got to work. Fulfilling that order meant stepping far beyond the kitchen table. They needed more production capacity, more employees, and more organization. They hired staff, eventually over 200 people, including family members. They moved into a proper facility. They streamlined their production, created seasonal collections, and built relationships with suppliers. And the money started pouring in. By 2018, they were making no less than $20 million a year in revenue. Even during the pandemic, when so many businesses suffered, their bomb bath fizzers kept growing. Here's what's remarkable. They didn't invent bath bombs. That market already existed. What they did was take something ordinary and make it extraordinary. They added a twist. They improved the experience. They gave people a reason to talk about it, to share it on social media, and to buy it as gifts. This is the essence of entrepreneurship. You don't always need to create something new. Sometimes you just need to make something better. Their story is a perfect example of a core principle of the legacy code, the idea that big success can come from small improvements. They didn't wait to be old enough or experienced enough. They started with what they had. They tested, they adapted, and they kept moving forward. They understood that sometimes the difference between an average product and a multi-million-dollar business lies in packaging, positioning, and a touch of fun. Today, Isabel and Caroline are no longer the 10- and 11-year-olds making bath bombs in the family kitchen. They're young women running a thriving business, creating new products, and inspiring other young entrepreneurs. Their products are sold nationwide. Their story has been featured in major media outlets, and their brand continues to grow. So, what's the takeaway here? You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to wait for permission. You just have to see the opportunity in front of you, take action, and commit to improving something people already love. The Bercaw sisters didn't just make bath bomb. They made bath time exciting again, and in doing so, they built a business worth millions. If they can do it at age 10 and 11, what's stopping you? Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the upcoming videos. Why not check out The Legacy Code by Keith Everett on Amazon and Audible? Learning to live out loud is what The Legacy Code is all about. Thanks for watching.